In this episode, we are going to focus on a subtle but extremely powerful design principle that determines how damaging a single secret leak can become in a cloud environment. Secrets are unavoidable because systems need a way to prove identity and authorize actions. But not all secrets are created equal in terms of the access they unlock. If one secret grants sweeping permissions across storage, compute, networking, and identity management, then losing that secret is not just a small mistake, it is a major breach. The goal of scoping secrets to least privilege is to ensure that even if a secret is exposed, its usefulness is tightly constrained. When secrets are narrowly scoped, a compromise becomes contained instead of catastrophic. That containment is the difference between a manageable incident and a widespread takeover. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at Cyber.Author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. To understand why scoping matters so much, it helps to picture what actually happens during a secret leak. A secret might be copied into a log file, embedded in a build artifact, exposed in a repository, or extracted from a compromised machine. Once an attacker obtains that value, they do not care how it was meant to be used. They only care what it allows them to do. If the secret provides administrative permissions across an entire cloud account, then the attacker immediately has broad leverage. If instead the secret only allows read access to a single dataset or limited interaction with one service, the attacker's options shrink dramatically. Scoping is about limiting what a stolen key can unlock. It is not about preventing every leak, but about making each leak less valuable. Least privilege is the guiding principle behind proper scoping, and it applies just as strongly to secrets as it does to human identities. Least privilege means granting only the permissions necessary to perform a defined task and nothing more. When you hear identity and access management, IAM, for the first time in this context, think of it as the framework that defines what identities can do within a cloud environment. Secrets are often tied to service identities governed by IAM policies, and those policies determine the scope of access. If the policy is broad, the secret inherits that breadth. If the policy is precise, the secret becomes a narrow tool rather than a universal master key. A common beginner mistake is to create one highly privileged service account and reuse its credentials across multiple applications because it simplifies configuration. At first, this may seem efficient because everything works without complex permission troubleshooting. However, this approach concentrates risk into a single secret that becomes enormously valuable to an attacker. If that shared credential leaks, every system that depends on it is exposed simultaneously. The better design is to create separate identities for separate workloads, each with narrowly defined permissions. Isolation reduces the blast radius of compromise and improves accountability. Scoping secrets properly begins with clearly defining the purpose of the workload that will use them. If an application needs to read data from one storage location, it does not need write permissions, and it does not need access to unrelated storage accounts. If a monitoring tool needs to collect metrics, it does not need permission to modify infrastructure. The discipline here is translating business function into precise technical permission. This often requires collaboration between developers and security teams to understand what is truly required. When that translation is done thoughtfully, secrets align with purpose rather than convenience. Another critical aspect of scoping is limiting secrets to specific environments. Development, testing, and production environments should not share the same credentials, even if the services appear similar. If a development secret leaks, and it also grants production access, the separation between environments collapses instantly. Environment-specific scoping ensures that compromise in one area does not automatically cascade into another. This separation supports both operational clarity and security containment. It is a practical boundary that reduces systemic risk. Granularity also matters when defining what resources a secret can access. Instead of granting permissions at a broad account or subscription level, permissions should target specific resources wherever possible. For example, a secret might be allowed to access one database instance, but not all databases in the environment. This level of specificity may require more thoughtful policy design, but it significantly reduces the damage potential of a leak. Broad scopes are easier to configure, but they magnify consequences. Precision is what keeps a mistake small. Time-bound scoping further reduces the impact of secret compromise. Even a narrowly scoped secret should not live indefinitely. Short-lived credentials mean that if a secret is leaked, its usefulness declines rapidly. Combining least privilege with limited lifetime multiplies protection because the attacker must both exploit limited permissions and act quickly. This layered restriction changes the economics of misuse. Short-lived, narrowly scoped secrets are far less attractive than long-lived, broadly scoped ones. Monitoring complements scoping by revealing when a secret is used outside of its expected behavior. If a secret intended for one application suddenly attempts to access unrelated resources, that behavior should stand out. Narrow scopes make anomalies easier to detect because legitimate activity is predictable. Broad scopes, on the other hand, blur the line between normal and suspicious behavior. Logging and analysis tools rely on defined boundaries to identify misuse. Scoping therefore supports detection as well as prevention. Another subtle but important practice is avoiding the reuse of secrets across different services or integrations. Each integration should have its own identity and its own scoped secret. Reuse creates invisible coupling between systems, meaning a compromise in one integration may grant access to another unintentionally. Unique secrets preserve separation and simplify revocation. If one secret must be disabled, others remain unaffected. Isolation strengthens resilience. It is also worth addressing the misconception that scoping slows development unnecessarily. While it may require more upfront thought, narrowly scoped permissions often lead to cleaner architecture and clearer understanding of system behavior. Developers gain confidence that their applications interact only with intended resources. Security teams gain assurance that access paths are controlled. Over time, this clarity reduces troubleshooting complexity and accidental overreach. The initial effort pays dividends in stability and safety. Secret scoping should also account for the type of actions allowed, not just the resources involved. Read-only permissions are generally less risky than write or administrative permissions, although even read access can expose sensitive data. Carefully evaluating whether modification rights are truly necessary is an important design step. Many applications require fewer write permissions than initially assumed. Removing unnecessary actions narrows the potential impact of compromise. Thoughtful restriction is often simpler than broad allowance. In larger environments, policy templates can help standardize scoping patterns while preserving least privilege. Instead of granting custom permissions ad hoc for every workload, predefined patterns can define safe defaults for common use cases. These templates should still be reviewed and adjusted as needed, but they reduce the temptation to assign overly broad roles for convenience. Consistency strengthens governance. Governance strengthens security. As you bring these concepts together, the protective value of scoping becomes clear. A secret leak is not automatically a disaster if the secret's permissions are tightly defined and environment-specific. Narrow scopes limit reachable resources, limited lifetimes shrink the window of exploitation, and unique identities prevent cross-system spillover. Monitoring reinforces these boundaries by highlighting unusual behavior. Each control reinforces the others in a layered defense. By the end of this episode, you should see secret scoping not as a minor configuration detail, but as a core risk management strategy. Secrets are powerful because they unlock actions, and that power must be intentionally constrained. Least privilege ensures that secrets align with precise business needs rather than broad convenience. Environment separation, granular permissions, short lifetimes, and unique identities collectively reduce blast radius. When one secret leaks, it should not unlock your entire cloud. Scoping is how you make sure it does not.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.